All right, guys, I wanted to throw together a quick video to show you solving absolute value equations and writing absolute value as a piecewise function. So the first thing we talked about was solving equations with absolute values. And so if you're given an equation like this, step number one is to isolate the absolute value function. And so in order to do that, we're going to divide both sides by 2, and we'll be left with x minus 3, absolute value, divided by 4, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. At this step, we're going to go ahead and split this into 2 different pieces. One where the inside of the absolute value bars is positive, and one where the inside of the absolute values bars is negative. Next, we'll solve for x, and so we'll add 3 to both sides here. Here, we'll go ahead and divide by -1 on both sides, so we'll end up with a -4. Add 3, and then we will end up with -1. So there are 2 solutions. One is x equals 7, and one is x equals -1. Now, choosing any 2 from the Desmos activity in Google Classroom, the first one, let's do absolute value of quantity 3x plus 9 minus 10 equals -4. Again, isolate the absolute value bars, 3x plus 9. So we'll add 10 to both sides, and I'll end up with, my brain is super tired, so it looks like that's going to be 6. Yeah, okay, so now we'll do the thing where we split it apart. This will be 3x plus 9 equals 6, and this will be -3x plus 9 equals 6. And so here I'll have 3x equals, this will be -3, so x equals -1 for one solution. And then here we'll divide out that negative on both sides, giving us a -6. Then we'll subtract 9 from both sides, giving me -15. And then x will equal -5. All right. I'll do a partial example of one of the others just to show you how to isolate absolute value bars with multiplication. So here we have a 4 multiplied by the absolute value expression. And so we're just going to have to go ahead and divide both sides by 4 to isolate the absolute value. And then you'll continue with the splitting and the solving. All right, when we're writing absolute value as a piecewise function, the first thing that we want to do is we want to determine the tipping point of the function. I'm going to draw my junky sketch over here just to help me out. So I need this tipping point, and this tipping point will be found by taking what's inside of the absolute value bars and solving for 0. So this will be 3x equals -21, x equals -7. So the tipping point is -7. So that's going to be the split in the domain. So it's going to be x greater than or less than, depending. And then we're going to take the positive version of the function and put it here, and then the negative version of the function and put it here. I want to make a note that the slope is positive here and that the slope is negative down here because of the coefficient on the x term. Negative is a negative slope, positive is a positive slope. And over here, we need to understand that that's a positive slope on this side of the absolute value, and this is a negatively sloped line. And then if this point is x equals -7, to the right is greater than that, and to the left is less than that. And so the positively sloped line gets the greater than, and then vice versa, and we can put the equal to on either side. Okay, moving on to this one. This one actually is 6 minus x, and so we'll go ahead and draw our sketch. This is x equals whatever the tipping point is, so this would be 6 minus x equals 0. -x equals -6, x equals 6. So that's going to be this part of the domain over here. Domain is always x. And this is the positive version of the function and then the negative version of the function. This one's tricky because this is the negative slope and this is the positive slope because the coefficient of the x term here is negative. And if we were to distribute this negative into the function, -1 times negative x will be positive x. And so again, this is the positive slope. This is x greater than 6, negative slope x less than 6. And so the negative slope gets the less than, and the positive slope gets the greater than, and then we just throw that equals 2 on there. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. Good luck on your check your understanding. I'll see you in the next class.